we'll get started with an opening statement from you, Coach, and then we'll take some questions.
Just quickly about last night, a couple things of, the number of former players that I've heard from. I was telling Carter this on the way over here, the number of former Badgers and Badger parents whose seasons were ended, whose careers were ended at the hands of Stanford, and how many people were just pretty excited to finally to be off the schneid for that is certainly feels great. I thought our team played together, and it just we're happy to still be playing and still progressing through this tournament. This is I think this is the hardest round and the most awesome round of the tournament, and it's something we've never done, has been able to make it to a Final Four going through somebody else's place, and this is one of the toughest places to do it, and a team that is as talented as any team in the country, and so we're certainly looking forward to this challenge. We've been, I think our team has grown, and as the season has gone on, I think we're playing with confidence, and you're going to need that confidence to be able to go in and do what we're hoping to be able to do against as much talent. And I think these guys have been at this place, I think, 18 out of the last 20 years. I mean, that is unbelievable. I mean, that is unbelievable of how many times we've been here, 8 times in a row at this level, and I think that they more than double that is just a real credit to Jarrett and his coaching staff and his players and the administration here. So should be an awesome day of volleyball tomorrow. We're certainly fired up to be a part of it.
Take questions right here in the front row.
Jarrett was talking about how these are two completely different teams from when you guys faced off August 31st. How do you feel like you guys have grown, and how looking at tape, do you feel like Texas has grown as well since then?
Yeah, for us, I mean, we had, you think about it, we've got 2 players that were playing in the rotation from last year, Carter being one of them. And in our sport, connectivity and how you work with one another is at a premium. It's really critical. And opening match with so many new people, and they had some new people as well. They played quite a few freshmen. Charlie, I think, was just coming off a surgical procedure, and we'd had her for like 4 or 5 days going into that. And so offensively, we're just a lot better than what we were. I think we're passing better. We're certainly communicating a lot better than what we were. On their side, they've added so many wrinkles to what they're doing attacking-wise. I mean, it's a really exciting offense, but that both teams run. I think both teams are very, very, very good offensively. But they're doing some different things, some different attack routes, and trying to get in some different spaces that give teams some issues you gotta handle and gotta deal with. So you go back and you watch the film from that, and you just look at it quick. I mean, we played 30 matches since then, right? 3 months ago, but it is so incredibly. It jumps out at you how different both teams are. Certainly we are, and but this is its own entity, its own match. Certainly at a different venue with it, it'll feel different for our players with the crowd that's right on top of you, that's against you rather than for you. Yeah.
To your right.
For Carter and Allie, it's your last chance to get to the thing that you want to do. And I'm sure it's a big deal in your life. And do you find that, do you use that for additional motivation, or do you try and tamp down some of that and try and say just another match? So what appeals to you most, or what works best for you, playing up to a big challenge or trying not to overthink it too much?
I mean, I think it's exactly what Kelly was talking about in our press conference before Stanford, which is that a lot of people make the mistake of getting to this point and trying to reinvent the wheel or changing how they react to environments or whatever situation is thrown at them. And I would say that in this moment when, stakes are high, everything is on the line, but we've treated every game this entire year that way. So I guess my answer is I'll do the same thing that I always do, which is rise to the occasion, stick my chest out and deal with it. I think that's a space that we as a team operate within very well.
Yeah, I think going off of Carter, very similar, I think that we know how to take one game at a time. And yes, the stakes are high, but we know what we need to do to be great and to take care of business, and we're just going to play volleyball.
In the middle.
For anyone, obviously you guys played Texas earlier in the year. Is there any sort of benefit to playing a team already and ease the nerves a little bit, just knowing that you guys have faced this team before?
I think they and we are completely different teams than what we saw however many months ago that was. So I think there's a little bit of danger in feeling like I can rest a little bit, sit back on my hackles because I've seen this team before. Because let's be real, you see a different version of every single team when you get into the tournament. Every single team is fighting for their lives, and there's a different kind of play and a different kind of competitiveness that comes out when you are facing those kinds of situations. So I think that, yes, we have seen a different Texas team at a different time, and they saw a different Wisconsin team at a different time, but the teams that are going to show up tomorrow haven't been seen by anyone before.
On the TV stand in the back.
Yeah, obviously both of you had very efficient nights last night, but since we talked to you last night, Carter, I'll ask Allie, what sort of confidence did you take from that performance given the stage and the atmosphere here?
Yeah, I was just really impressed with our team and how we showed up and fought together. I think that it speaks a lot to our character, especially throughout the season, how much that we've grown defensively and from the service line. And I was just really impressed at how ready we were and how ready everyone was to come into the game and just do their part. So it was a lot of fun.
One more in the back.
Absolutely. And for both of you, but I guess I'll ask Carter for, just the talent on the pins for Texas and for both teams in this match. As a blocker with the variety of shots they're able to hit, what sort of challenge is that, or I guess how perfect do you have to be on the block to affect what their hitters are able to do?
It's, again, going back to our fundamentals, I know I'm beating a dead horse, but that's really what this is all about. At the highest level, the margins are so thin that you're not trying to reinvent the wheel again. You're honing in on the details of what you already know to do. So it's not necessarily about being perfect on the block. It's about being in good spaces and making great moves. That's Britt's coin term. She loves to say that. And it couldn't be more true, especially against a team like this where they're not going to hit the same shot over and over again. So you can't make big commitments one way or another. So our focus is just going to be taking away good space for our defense and then trusting that the people around us have put in the work to be able to defend those shots.
In the back on the left.
This is for each of you. How would you guys describe what you've seen from Texas on film? If you had to summarize what Texas does best or what Texas is, how would you summarize the Longhorns?
Dynamic, athletic. They've got one of the best attackers in the game. Stafford, I think, is hitting in the last 10 matches like 440. For a left side hitter, that's just filthy. They've got a setter that is leading their team who's won a national championship. They've got really, really good pieces all the way around them. But I think the first thing that jumps out at you is their power and their athleticism. And then as you start diving in, some of the diversity, where they're serving the ball, they'll move the ball around a little bit, and where their attack points, they'll certainly move that around a lot as well.
Carter, you were talking about, the benefit of being able to punch first yesterday, against a team that's as good as Texas. You might not be able to have that first punch. Kind of, how do you feel like this team is maybe more resilient to kind of withstand some of those punches now versus, say, back in August?
I think first and foremost, we are the writers of our own destiny, and I think that we are always in a position to be able to throw the first punch no matter who we're seeing across the net. I think that, we resilience wise and we were just talking about this, our like emotional IQ has definitely risen since we have played Texas 3 months ago. We are definitely more equipped to withstand those highs and lows of a set and able to, step up after a mistake or come back after a battle. I mean, you see yesterday come out very dominant in the first set, and then we dropped the second in a fashion that was a little bit uncharacteristic to the way we want to play. And, being able to just step up and come back third and fourth playing our game, I think that goes to show how much we've grown in that sense.
On the right.
Kelly, you mentioned Tori Stafford. You got Mimi playing the same position on your side of it, and they had to be the two best at that position in the country, I would think. Just the perspective on that kind of the impact that those two outsides have and what they each bring.
They're both carrying a very big load, not just hitting front row and back row and passing. Both of them are very good blockers and servers. I mean, they play the game. They put the work in to develop their game, and they also take out a lot of the garbage, right? If things the setter's on the run or somebody else has to step in there, and can you not only manage, but can you generate some offense in those situations? And both of them are fearless, and they're extremely talented, and I think volleyball fans are going to be able to. They're going to be following them for a long time. Both of them have tremendous careers in front of them, but their skill set is really high.
In front on the left for you.
Kelly, the physicality for Texas at the net seems to have been a strength throughout the season for them. Kind of what challenge does that pose, and kind of how do you feel like you guys are well equipped to handle that?
Yeah. I mean, I remember last night I was watching Stanford warm up, and you're like, gee, many crickets. I mean, this is, it's like watching the NBA, dunking contest, right? It's like, holy cow. They're just bouncing balls on the 10-foot line, and just really dynamic and impressive. And Texas probably has even more than that, but each team has their thing, right? And if we try to play their game, we're gonna get whacked. And if they try to play ours, that's going to be problems for them as well. And that's Carter, I think, has talked about this. You got to stay in character, and you got to do what you do, and play your game. But their athleticism, I mean, they'll be there's some of those swings that it's like a shotgun blast, and. You got to get right back to it. You can't have one of, not just Texas, anybody at this level, because everybody is capable of just doing some wow moments. And certainly we are as well. You got to get back to work. And that mentality just becomes, as the margins become thinner and thinner, because you start seeing so many matches as you start getting deeper in the tournament that are decided by, 2-3 points. And how do you... your ability to not let 1 point turn into 3 becomes really critical.
Last one on the back.
Kelly, early in the season, you talked about how the fan base might not know this team yet, but they're going to come to really like this team. It seems like now throughout this tournament run, fans from here to Madison have really gotten behind them. So for those who I guess aren't diehards necessarily, what's your message to people as to why they should tune in tomorrow night?
I wonder if they still know us. Our first 2 rounds weren't on TV, and yesterday was in the middle of a work day, so I'm still not positive that people truly have gotten to know our team. But hopefully the country will tomorrow. They'll be able to see 2 teams that are playing in prime time and on national television, which will, it's kind of unusual for us to be on the regional finals, and that'll be the first time that I'm able to say that. But I think anybody who has been following us closely, I think they've really enjoyed watching this team grow. I think as a sports fan, you want to be inspired, right? You want to see teams, you want to see players that are courageous, that are leaning into learning, that care about each other, that are more about things beyond themselves. I think our team, as people have gotten to know them more and more, I think they've become inspired. I've become inspired. I love watching how this team has grown, how they play together, the joy they play with, and the ferociousness that this team has grown into has been one of the most enjoyable years of coaching I've ever had.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.